Happening here is each trying to get what is good for them from each other, and it's not a genuine effort to bring peace. It's just a genuine effort to see who can get from the other what they want.
In our leading story, U.S. President Donald Trump has withdrawn his country's endorsement of the G7 communique after accusing host and Canada's Prime Minister of making false statements at a press conference at the conclusion of the event yesterday. Trudeau tried his very best to downplay the rifts between the G6 countries and the United States over trade tariffs when announcing that all G7 countries had indeed signed onto a joint communique at the conclusion of the G7 summit. Now, Trudeau said he found the U.S. move to impose tariffs as insulting and that he would continue to stand up for Canada's interests, eliciting Trump's tweet backing out of the consensus agreement while flying to Singapore for a summit with North Korea's leader, Kim Jon UN.
He marched out triumphantly to face the press, lauding the summit's success. Questions remain about a possible trade war after the US imposed metal tariffs on even their closest allies over national security concerns, something the Canadian Prime Minister says he finds insulting.
It would be with regret, but it would be with absolute certainty and firmness that we move forward with retaliatory measures on July 1st, applying equivalent tariffs to the ones that the Americans have unjustly applied to us. I have made it very clear to the President that it is not something we relish doing, but it is something that we absolutely will do, because Canadians, we're polite, we're reasonable, but we also will not be pushed around.
After meeting with leaders of the developing world, including South Africa, over issues of climate change and protecting the world's oceans, he announced $100 million in new funding to help build resilient coastlines, while 5 of the G7 countries agreed to new ambitious goals to rid the oceans of plastics.
In the run-up to this summit, there was a tremendous spate of speculation by a broad range of people that this summit was going to be replete with conflicts and not lead to much. But on the contrary, not only did we come out with a consensus document supported by all 7 G7 nations, not only did we move forward on significant commitments on a broad range of issues that matter to Canadians, to citizens of the G7, to people around the world, we actually delivered almost $4 billion for women and girls in crisis and conflict-affected areas to help with their education, their health, their security.
On the sidelines, President Cyril Ramaphosa held bilaterals with a number of leaders, among them French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Amidst growing fears of rising protectionism from the United States, Trudeau struggled to downplay disagreements with that country.
If the expectation was that a weekend in beautiful Charlevoix, surrounded by all sorts of lovely people, was going to transform the President's outlook on trade in the world, then we didn't quite perhaps meet that bar. But if the bar, much more responsibly, was, can the world come together, the world's leading developed economies come together and make significant investments in things that matter to people, whether it's women and girls' education, whether it's moving forward and with real measures and real commitments to protecting our oceans, to including women in the growth that we need in our communities and our societies, to moving forward in an agreed upon way on a broad range of things, then absolutely we've done that.
President Ramaphosa will address the summit's outcomes live on SABC News ahead of his departure to South Africa on Sunday. Sherwin Bryceby's SABC News, Quebec City, Canada.